Hey everyone, I'm kalimsiYT and today I have another speed build for my channel, and today I am building a gym for my save file. This gym is in San Myshuno, and I believe the lot that I placed it on is like the Salt House, something like that. It's in San Myshuno in the Spice District, in that little starter area that came with the City Living expansion pack. And I know on the top left hand corner it's called the old factory / loft, but what I actually decided to name this is the Fit Factory. And my kind of logic for that is that I am picturing this to be an old warehouse that eventually shut down for whatever reason and has now been converted into a gym. And so it's kind of like a factory where it was a factory, but now you get fit in it. And so the only thing this factory is really producing is gains. So yeah, that was kind of my little idea for the origin of this lot. So when I came up with the idea for the name of the lot, which is Fit Factory, I thought it was being super original and cute, and I was kind of proud of it because it was kind of related to what was going on at the lot. And then a few days after I finished building this, because I probably built this like over a week ago now, and I'm just now recording the voiceover for it, but I was driving around a few days after I finished building this, and I saw a store called Fit Factory while I was running errands, and I couldn't believe it. So I guess maybe I saw that somewhere and it was like deep in my brain, subconscious, and so when I came up with this, my brain thought to that. But I think that Fit Factory store is like a supplement store, and this gym does not have supplements here. It's not going to be selling that, and this is also in a completely different universe, so it really doesn't matter, and I didn't want to change the name because that's dumb. So there's just going to be, this one's going to be Fit Factory, and I guess in real life there is also a Fit Factory, even though I didn't know about it until after I finished building this. But yeah, as you can see, I have been working on the exterior now in the build, and I'm really trying to give it like kind of that it used to be a warehouse, but at the same time not making it look bad and boring, because I feel like, you know, warehouses are very plain looking, or I guess this is like a factory, warehouse, same thing as far as I'm concerned. But I just didn't want it to look super boring, like just a square with like a bunch of square windows inside of it. And so I have these little bump outs, which you've seen me build like on the front and the back, trying to just give it a little bit of dimension. And then on the sides, if you look at the lot to the left of this one, it's just like a placeholder little decoration factory. But one thing I saw in there that I really liked was that they had little garages on the side, that I would imagine, like, you know, products or whatever is being produced is like going from the factory, and maybe like supplies they need are like incoming into the factory. And I wanted to incorporate that into this build too, since it's supposed to be like a converted factory. And so on the first floor, you'll have seen that I have a couple little bump outs with some garage doors, and then a little roof overhang for like rain protection or whatever. And I used the garage murals that came from the City Living expansion pack, and I went and I put those on both sides of the doors to make it kind of look like it was a real garage, even though unfortunately you cannot open the doors in gameplay. And that's like one thing that I really wish we could have, is like doors that you can click on and they open, and like bifold doors or garage doors, and then you can click on them again, they'd close. Like in The Sims 3, there were garage doors, like those were just an item that came with cars, and you could click on it and you could open the garage door and you could close the garage door. And so I really liked it because when I would build, I would use that in like modern houses to make like an open space. and I really wish that was in The Sims 4 as well. Like, I don't even care if we get cars. Like, I know cars are really popular on people's wish list. For me personally, I don't really care if we get cars. However, I do want the garage doors that come along with cars, because I think that would be so good for building. And additionally, I know in some of the kits that have come out recently, they've put like bifold doors in there, or doors that are like already open, kind of like, I don't know what kit it's from, but there's one where it's like these glass doors and they're open, and it looks like they'd be something that you could just like kind of pull together and it would shut. And then there's also a factory like one that's similar. They're like French doors. But it would be really cool if I could just click on that door and then have an option to have the door shut, or then I can click on it again and I can have an option to keep those doors open, because I feel like for gameplay purposes it would make a lot of sense, especially if that door is kind of leading into the exterior of a building. It wouldn't make sense for it to be open constantly, and it would be nice, especially if you have seasons and you have weather installed in the game, but just having an option to go ahead and shut that door. I believe actually, yes, on the top floor, wherever, like because I have an outdoor fitness area on the top, the little green roof, that's gonna be an outdoor fitness area, but I use that open door there, and it'd be really cool if there was a way for me to shut it. So this gym ends up having a lot of different rooms that your Sims can go to. So on the first floor, there is going to be kind of a check-in room, and then there will be a big basketball court that your Sims can play basketball with, which is an activity that came with the City Living expansion pack. And then towards the back of the ground floor, there's also an onsen, like sauna bathhouse area, and that came with Snowy Escape. Now, I don't have the spa day game pack, but I would have loved to include some saunas and some yoga mats and meditation rooms with this, but I don't have that pack, so I didn't include that. And yeah, on the second floor, there is kind of it's a balcony that kind of, or a loft, I guess, that overlooks the basketball court on the first floor, and I really like how that turned out. But I have a mix of the different machines and the treadmills in the game, as well as different locker rooms for your Sims to shower and change in. And then on the third floor, I have that as kind of the boxing room. So that's where you're gonna find all of your punching bags, and there's a bathroom up there as well. There's also a dance studio where I use one of the dance floor objects as like a little activity for your Sims to go and do. And then I also have a club room that's up there as well. So if you didn't know, in the Sims 4 Get Together, you can obviously have clubs. It's like the whole point of the pack. But within that, you can assign a hangout space for your club to meet up. And so I decided to do that here on this one. And so there is a little private workout area that I imagine this club like rents out from the owners of this gym to kind of work out in peace. And then there is that outdoor fitness area. And yeah, so I've done a decent amount of the exterior and the landscaping at this point, and the landscaping I kept really simple. I just did some purple flowers from base game and then some shrubs, and I put some ivy on the building again just to make the whole factory look a little bit less boring. And on the outside where these garages are, I imagine they're not functional anymore because this is now a gym, obviously. And so in a minute you're gonna see me put a little drink station that like a vendor can tend. I think you can hire a vendor in gameplay, and then some picnic tables around there. And I'm also putting a bike rack as well, and about to fill it up with some bikes, because I really like to imagine, especially in a city setting such as San Myshuno, that a lot of people would be riding their bikes. Imagine parking isn't necessarily the best in the city, especially in like a downtown area such as this. So walking and biking would probably be the best mode of transportation. And yeah, now I'm moving on into the interior, and I'm starting with the little check-in lobby area. And I kind of ran into a bit of a dilemma whenever I was furnishing this. You can see that I'm using the stairs as like the central point, and that you'd walk in and you'd go into the desk, but I quickly realized that that's off center, and that's due to the fact because I have the garage bump outs there. It doesn't actually like make the room any bigger, but it makes the outside look bigger. And so with that, whenever I place the desk down in the middle of the stairs, and what should be the middle of the room, it's not actually the middle of the room because of that bump out. But then when I place it what looks like would be the center whenever you walk in the entrance, it then makes the stairs look weird. And so to combat that, I just moved the check-in desk to the side. And you can see that I used, I think, an archway from Jungle Adventure, who is the game pack that arch came from, to kind of make the little separation into the basketball court. I don't have this game pack, but in the Werewolves game pack, there is a really good like old factory archway that I wish I could have put there, but that one also does the job as well. And I didn't really know kind of what to put in the lobby other than the front desk. So I went ahead and I put some of those couches from Dream Home Decorator. They kind of look like lobby couches a little bit. And I put a vending machine in because maybe your Sims would get hungry. And right now I'm just really cluttering up the check-in desk. I have a computer on there, but there is a bar stool there instead of an actual chair. So your Sims won't be able to go in and actually use the computer. And I did that by design because I find on community lots, if there is a computer on the lot, every Sim will be on it and will be very attracted towards it. I don't know what it is with the coding in The Sims and like having townies and just whoever spawns in like instantly be drawn to computers on lots, but that's a thing with gameplay that I kind of hate dealing with. And so I put the computer there for aesthetic purposes, but then I made it not functional. And then as well on the check-in desk, I went and I put some like a little book there, and I imagine that's how you sign in. I know in a lot of modern gyms nowadays, you can kind of like scan your like membership code or whatever on your phone to get in, but there was really no way for me to do that in The Sims, or for me to get that across other than to put a little book with a pen down. I imagine this gym, they still sign in just the normal way. And kind of see that I am laying out the different room functionalities for where I kind of want all the equipment to go. One thing about this gym that I really like is the fact that it's kind of a darker color scheme along with it. And later on in the speed build, I'm going to add different colored lights throughout all the different rooms to kind of like create a better vibe when you're working out. And each room has a different color to it. I don't do that till probably the end of the interior, so that will be coming up, but I think it really gives the place a unique look to it, especially from the inside. And the whole goal is that it is more fun for you to come to here in gameplay. And right now I'm doing something that I'm actually really proud of how it turned out. So we don't have a weight rack in the game. I think there's a tiny one that comes with the Love Struck expansion pack, but I don't have that in my game. I was kind of annoying for this because Love Struck actually comes with a decent amount of gym stuff that would have been nice, including like some good gym signage, but it was fine. I lived without it. But yeah, there's no weight racks in the game, especially like nothing functional. And so I wanted to go and recreate that for this lot because I feel like a big part of why people have gym memberships is to use the weight racks, myself included, and I felt like the gym was kind of incomplete without it. And so there are these benches that come with Get to Work, and I kind of imagine those as like little weight benches that your Sims would use. That's kind of the closest thing we have in the game to an actual bench. They don't look super comfy, but it's what I have. And then I decided to use the tool mod to kind of create little mini weights that your Sims could pick up. So what I used is a pen object from the debug catalog, and I sized that up, and then I'm using a bunch of clocks and I'm turning them face into each other, so that way you only see the black part, you don't see the actual face of the clock. And I'm sizing them up and down to kind of represent different weights that you could grab from the weight rack. So the smaller ones are going to be on top and the heavier ones are going to be on bottom, just like in a normal weight rack. And yeah, I'm just going ahead and I'm doing that for every different weight. And then once I get to the end of each row, I take all the pens and I bring them up a little bit, so that way the pens are centered in the middle of the weight like a normal dumbbell would be. And I really like how this turned out. I feel like it gives the gym a bit more life to it. And I have 2 of these racks, but after, you can see I'm about finished with the first one right now. But after finishing the first one, I could not be bothered to repeat all of that manually. So I went and I created a room on my library of the weight rack, and then I just copied it over to the little rack area on the right. Looking back, I do wish I made the weight rack just a little bit bigger, because if you look on the top shelf, there's only 3 of the small ones and 3 of the medium ones. But whenever you think about like functionality wise, you'd want 4, because you'd want 2 pairs, so each like a person could take a pair and another person could take a pair of a certain weight, because 3 is kind of an uneven amount. But I didn't think of that until way after I was done doing the weight rack and I was already moved on, and by that point I was not going back to it. But I really like how it turned out, and given that it's really just for aesthetics only, the actual weight part of the gym doesn't have any functional gameplay, I'm pretty happy with it. But the rest of this floor is functional. There are a bunch of treadmills, and then there are the little, I guess, little weight machines, I guess I would call them. And then I also wanted to include some areas for your Sims to go and wipe down the equipment when they're done with it, because every real life gym is going to have that. And so I put those little stations, and I used some of the wall decor from Get to Work. There's like a little paper towel holder and like a hand sanitizer thing, and then I used the baby wipes from the base game, and I went and I put those on a shelf. And I'd like to imagine that Sims, whenever they're done with equipment, they would go and they would wipe down what they were using before going on and moving to their next exercise. And yeah, another thing I did with this lot is I wanted to make it feel alive, and so I put a lot of different water bottles, keys, phones around the place, like with the equipment, because in real life you're going to carry your water and your keys with you and your phone around to each different station. And I did include lockers as well, so theoretically your Sims could put their items away. And in real life, I think most gyms have lockers, so you could put your items away too, but it doesn't make sense for you to put your water bottle away because you're going to be actively using that. And I also imagine that this gym is pretty nice. It has some complimentary water as well, like in case you forget yours or something like that. And so in a couple places throughout the lot, I went, you can see right now I'm doing this, I put a table down and then I went into debug and I found some water bottles and I just put them on the table to make it look like you are more than welcome to just go and grab one at any point. So I imagine that this gym would be pretty expensive, because I don't think most gyms offer water or amenities like that just for everyone. And yeah, now you can see I've moved on into the locker rooms of this build, and the locker rooms were kind of a challenge because the 2 of them, they aren't even in that, like, the layout isn't the same. They're flipped on each side. And so finding a layout that worked for one didn't necessarily mean that it worked for the other one. And so I found in general what I kind of wanted to do, and I had to somewhat mimic it on the other side. And so they're very similar layouts, but they're not going to be exact due to spacing. But I do like how it turned out overall. I do end up going and changing out the tile and the wallpaper just because I felt like the rest of the gym looked very modern and updated, and with the old tile it just didn't look that way, it didn't fit, and so I wanted to change it because of that. And something about the locker room, I guess it's kind of unique, is that the shower area is raised up a platform. I don't really know why I did that, but I felt like the showers shouldn't be on the same level as the rest of the lockers and the toilets and the sink, just like the rest of the locker room. Feel like for water drainage purposes that probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, and so because of that I went ahead and I moved it up a platform. I feel like it also just gives the room a little something you know, makes it a little nicer to look at. And I used the Snowy Escape showers with the Snowy Escape dividers with it there. I really like those ones because your Sims can shower and do their business in the same room with other Sims, and they won't get the embarrassed moodlet in gameplay, which I feel like is just so annoying whenever that happens to me. And there are like a lot of showers in the game that will have like a curtain or like frosted glass so that you theoretically like can't see your Sim while they're like taking a shower. But despite the glass being there, they'll still get the embarrassed moodlet, which I don't quite understand because the whole point of that is that you can't see the Sim, but you still get it anyway, and it's kind of annoying. But those showers don't do that, and so that's why I decided to use them in this. And the Snowy Escape pack really came in handy for this gym, especially with the locker room signage and just signage throughout the gym. There's just like one about like not using cell phones, another that has like locker room rules and etiquette or whatever, and I really found that helpful throughout this. And yeah, now I'm moving on into the little outdoor exercise area. I mentioned earlier I don't have the spa day game pack in my game, but I still felt like most gyms would have like an area for yoga to kind of practice that, and so I wanted to include that. And so you can see now I am just taking some rugs and I'm just mimicking what a little yoga area would look like. If you do decide to go and download this lot, definitely go ahead and replace those little rugs with the yoga mats and make it a little functional outdoor yoga area. If you do have the spa day game pack, I don't, so that was the next best thing for me to do. And then one thing about that outdoor fitness area I really like is one, those flower beds, and then two, in debug you can see I kind of found these little overhangs, and I put the machines under that because I would imagine that, you know, when it rains it's probably not the best for those machines to get wet, and so I thought it would be a nice like little protective area for them to sit under. Yeah, now I am on the 3rd floor and moving on to the little boxing area. And you can see I also put the little punching bags on the outdoor fitness area as well. I ended up doing the interior of this lot a little bit different than I usually like to. Normally, whenever I build, I'll do the entire exterior and then I'll go and I'll do the interior, and I do it floor by floor. And so I usually like to finish the entire 1st floor, then move on and do the 2nd floor and then the 3rd floor. But I like to kind of do it all at once in like a big chunk. But I didn't do that for this one, and the reason why is because I just didn't feel like it. I feel like sometimes especially when you're doing interiors, it's very easy to get overwhelmed by what you're currently doing, or to kind of reach like a point where you get stuck and you don't really know where to put things. And that happened to me a little bit while furnishing this, and so then I just went and I furnished a different room, and it was kind of nice to just take a break and then come back to it. Unfortunately, I think for video purposes I do have to jump around between rooms a little bit instead of doing them methodically all at once. But I found that, at least for me while building it, it just made it more fun to kind of jump around. And so you'll see me doing that a decent amount throughout this. Like, I haven't furnished the bathhouse on the 1st floor, or I haven't finished the check-in area either, or the basketball part at this point in the speed build. But I really wanted to work on this little 2nd floor loft area like I am now. And here I am going around with all the different colored lights. I wanted to make the main workout area a nice blue in there, and I really liked how it turned out. But yeah, I think that my little unorthodox method to doing the interior ended up making me enjoy the building process a lot more. And yeah, now I'm going in and I'm starting the little basketball court area, and I decided to go with some red lights for this room. I believe the little court markings that I went with for the room were red as well, and so it matches along with the brick. And yeah, I really like how this room is big, open, the 2nd floor overlooks it, and there are a bunch of different window types in the game. I used in this room I believe it's from the Greenhouse Haven kit, the skinny square windows that are on the front and back in the bump outs. And then for the side wall that you're looking at right now, that have like the triangle windows, those are from City Living, and I really like those. And yeah, now I thought it would be realistic that the gym would already have basketballs for you to use. And so I found this little cart in Debug in, I believe it was the high school years expansion pack. And I went and I put a bunch of basketballs on there because I imagine that those are just ready for your Sims to use at any point. And I also put a couple more benches around this area for your Sims to have a seat at some point as well. Another part of this room that I really like is that there are some windows that kind of overlook into the little check-in hallway area. I really like that we have the basketball skill in the game, but one thing I wish we could do is that if you had courts set up like this, like a normal basketball stadium, I really wish that you could play a full basketball game, like going from both sides, because I believe how it is currently in the game is that if you have one basketball hoop, you can play a game of basketball, but like just with that hoop. You can't use a hoop if it's on the other side, but I wish it kind of worked the way it did in real life, where your Sims could go up and down the court and then score on either side in order to play the game. So that part of the basketball court isn't like entirely functional, and that Sims won't be using the entire thing. They'll just be using different hoops. But if you have different groups coming in, that does make it pretty useful, because a group can use one court, a group can use a different hoop, and it'll work out just fine. And yeah, you can see that I went up and I did the little light coloring for the boxing room, and I went with a green for that one, which I thought went really nicely, especially given that the outdoor area is right next to it. And now I'm figuring out what to do with this little hallway in the back that leads into the bathhouse area. I was pretty stuck on this one, so I just decided to include some lockers that your Sims can put stuff in while they're working out. And I have a couple of those on the second floor main workout area as well. As for the actual bathhouse area that we're going in and furnishing right now, I was a little stumped at first about what to put in here, because the main object is the little bath that is in the middle there, but the thing is like, what else do you put in it, you know? And so I put in some little sofas on either side and just some chairs kind of darted around the place. And then I used these plants from, I believe it was also from Snowy Escape, and I made little bump outs, you know, just to make it seem more relaxing. And I also put a fireplace from Snowy Escape in the room as well. And the light that I decided to go in this room, I decided to do it in kind of an orangish color to make it look a little bit more relaxing. I was debating on doing a blue in this room, because I think scientifically blue is supposed to be very relaxing, but I feel like the orangish, yellowy orange, the warm vibes that I went in here just kind of make the room look cozier to be in, and so I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm going in now and I'm putting some curtains or some blinds on those windows, just because I would imagine that maybe the Sims would want it shut at some point. And for this little platform area, I'm actually really happy with how the platforms turned out in this room, with it kind of gradually going down into the bath. And I have it so that the little filters and the little like waterfall area that's going down is like completely enclosed by that platform, so it's not sticking out above it, which I think looks really nice. And then another thing I put in the check-in hallway that I forgot to mention was I stole one of the career day tables from the debug in high school years, and I put it there, and I imagined it was a little pop-up table, like convincing people to buy a gym membership or maybe upgrade into a better gym membership, and I thought that would have been cute to put there. And yeah, now I am furnishing the club hangout room. I imagine whichever club in the game kind of uses this probably pays the owner of the gym a little bit of money to have a little private workout room that the members can go to. And I also gave them a mini fridge, like a little kitchenette area, because I would think that, you know, maybe they would have some healthy juices or some snacks that the Sims would use. And yeah, I gave them every piece of gym equipment that I have in my game. So the treadmills, the weight machine, the punching bag, and then if you have spa day or a different exercise equipment piece, that would also work pretty good in here. And I had to use that club door from Get Together in order to have this area function as like a private club only room. And I don't love that it's in that orange color, but unfortunately that was kind of my only option to have like the weights logo on it, which I thought fit really well, so I had to have the orange color, which I think is a small price to pay. And yeah, I think I am going to end this voiceover here. If you like this build and would like to download it, it is on the gallery, and my gallery ID is kalimsiYT. And yeah, if you like this video, please give it a like, comment on it, and subscribe if you would like to see more. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, everybody.